Good day, everybody. It is Wednesday, the 5th of September. We are back.
Remember, the 5th of September. Welcome back to the Positively Negative Podcast,
Where we talk about life, love, and the pursuit of positivity in an occasionally negative world.
I'm Dayle.
And I'm Team Humble, and we're glad you're here.
Yeah, boy.
I bet everybody's going to be super, super mad about cryptos right now.
Boy, why is that?
Well, because Goldman Sachs has pulled out of doing their trading thing, so everything across the board is just tanked.
Listen, whatever Goldman Sachs and whatever Warren Buffett says, do the opposite, fam. Don't you think they know?
Up and down, up and down.
Yeah, well,
yeah.
We got Bitcoin is they sell Bitcoin chocolates at Walmart now, so we should be okay.
I saw that for $1 as well. It's actually high. It's actually not less than $1. What's that about? Yeah. It's been a super busy week. Well, last couple of weeks actually.
Yeah.
But mainly last week, seeing as that's when we did the last podcast, and that makes more sense to everybody. Whoa. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yes and no. I think, well, you onboarded some clients, so that's amazing. And I guess I was just geolocationally busy, less digitally busy, but more like admin life busy. And it's
doing
a lot.
Stuffs.
It's just strands. It doesn't matter what they are. That's what I'm realizing. Like if I have more than 5 things going on, I just feel a little bit crazy. And it doesn't matter if they are client related or life related or just personal projects. It's just the strands and switching back and forth.
Sure.
It's a lot for my brain. We got to get those fish oils and walnuts or something.
Yeah.
From my brain.
All of those energies, they do overlap, and it gets a little bit too much, a little bit overwhelming, I have to say. But yeah, I had some good luck in terms of these. I don't know if it was like start of the month thing or coming off the 6 weeks holiday energy, which I actually thought was 2 weeks left. So that completely threw me. But yeah, I kind of jumped into Upwork thinking people are going to be, I had this feeling that like parents are just going to be back into computer stuff because the kids are not going to be around. So they're going to have extra cycles of energy. And I think I just captured it at the right time. The best power tip I can give people who want to do virtual work online is to put an application into Upwork jobs that have got less than 5 offers, like 5 people already like applied for it, because if you're catching, and it's all about timing, as most of this stuff is anyway.
Yeah.
But like, I literally thought parents are going to be back to their normal processes. Kids are back at school. They're going to get energy cycles back. The adults are going to be like, oh, what am I going to do with myself? Oh, I should start that side project, or I should get that done on the website. And so I think I just caught it at the right kind of energy, and I picked up what would have been 3 clients, ended up with 2, because I don't necessarily trust the guy in Jerusalem to have any money. Not that people in Jerusalem don't have money, but it's just,
There's feels a lot of factors you look for as like,
well, it just feels like it's just such a world away for me to imagine people are like set up with credit cards and everything. I don't know. I just don't know. It's just a preconceived image I have, I guess.
For perspective, like I just found out a little while ago that, the navigator app Waze, they're based in Israel. I believe it's Jerusalem. So they have like I think there's like a little bit of a hub starting up there. I shouldn't say a little bit of what do I know? But I think that there's a Silicon Valley section of Israel at the moment. So that's,
I mean,
you might
be surprised
more. Yeah.
I won't be surprised. I mean, there's a like whole Iranian, like super, super intelligent, like they do a lot of military stuff and a lot of,
sure.
They're well known in terms of the scene. It's just like from a client perspective, most of my clients have ever been UK or America. So like whenever I get somewhere like Middle Eastern, I'm like, I have no comprehension whatsoever. And the weird thing is just the way it all played out with Upwork as well, because they couldn't verify his card, which then set me on the back foot of like, some dodgy card thing. But then I had Upwork getting in touch with me for the first time saying, we have a bug on our system. We have an actual bug that's like not displaying stuff and we don't know what it is. So I left it 24 hours and they came back and said, no, it's still a problem.
So the bug was to do with his payment method?
Yeah,
okay.
It's payment being verified. But I kind of went down the road of saying to the guy, look, I don't want you to be frustrated and waiting and whatever. So like, I'll just cancel the contract and you can go elsewhere, which he was cool with. But yeah, my other two clients are cool because they're like 16 or 17 screencasts that need to be done, like a massive refresh. And then the other one is like advice for Wirecast and video stuff, which I've done a couple of now.
Yeah.
And I really love what this guy's doing, and I could definitely see us both doing that as well. Again, it's money, it's cost, it's hardware, it's stuff, but it brings in a little bit of cash towards the Steamfest stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. It's been a weird week on Upwork, but we could talk about it. We should do a whole thing about Upwork, a whole episode, because there's definitely, I think you and I have learned like to look for certain things, and we have certain strategies that we use both together and individually. So Upwork would be a good, like just a good episode to do just on its own, or maybe even just like, maybe we could do a podcast where we talk about all of the random startups we've worked for, like Camly and Fancy Hands and like the whole past 2-3 years of just like WAG.
Yeah, been around the block on all of that. Yeah,
I'm telling you. Yeah. I mean, they're all short plays, but they get you where you need to go sometimes.
Well, you say there's short plays, but I think that's just the nature of the world right now. I think we're literally, people are scrabbling from one set of resources to another, but also like there's a time consideration, there's a location situation. You know, people move from one place to another place for jobs, and then they move there, and then they find out the rent's just too damn high.
Oh, and baby!
Then they decide to move away, and then the job's like, oh well, we really want you here. So then they change it. I just think more people are changing their jobs more regularly because of circumstances and like technology. Technology now is in its real stride now. Like technology is in its full on sprint to disrupt every industry, and it's doing it at a rate of knots. Like I see people coming out of the woodwork and following me on Instagram and Twitter, and you know, looking at my courses and seeing which ones they're actually going into and watching. And I know they won't contact me, but I know secretly behind the scenes they're kind of like trying to gen up on stuff as fast as possible.
Yeah.
But like, and it's super interesting, like where these little messages come from and when the timing of it, you know, makes it kind of validates the fact that I was right in some ways to like cut my losses at certain stages on like cities and people and just like platforms. I'm glad I've got the ability not to be too precious about platforms.
Yeah.
Because they literally come and go.
Yeah. No, that's what I meant by it. Like, I don't want to work. I decided that I don't want to work for anybody who would ask me, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Because if you're asking me that question, you don't know where do I see myself in 6 months? Maybe I can answer that question for you.
Yeah.
But if you think that I can honestly give you an answer, a realistic answer about 5 years, boy, let's hope the lights are still on. Like, let's hope we ain't underwater. All right. Let's talk about that. Anyway, speaking of, it kind of, go ahead.
I've got to quickly jump in there. I can't believe I've never said to somebody not working here.
Well, yeah.
I'm going to use that. If anybody says that to me, like, where do you see yourself? If I get interviewed somewhere, I'm going to drop that truth bomb, even if I don't get the job.
One of my favorite jokes ever from a comedian named Mitch Hedberg was when somebody asked me, where do I see myself in 5 years? I say, celebrating the 5-year anniversary of you asking me this question.
Fair.
Which is like, okay, you know what? At least it's honest. So, well, we're kind of talking about like platforms and things kind of coming in and out of style. And I kind of want to, I listened to a really interesting podcast this week, and I'm not going to like sit here and break down the entire podcast for you because I really think you should listen to it for yourself. It's a podcast by one of my favorites called Radio Lab, and they're from WNYC. They're like independent radio, but this is their podcast. And it's called Post No Evil, and it's about Facebook's terms of service with regard to moderating like graphic images. And they had a little document that started in 2008, and I'm not going to like break the whole thing down for you, but basically in 2008, they had, just like a room full of moderators who would just have to click through any of the images that got, flagged. So no nudity, no sex, no gore, no violence, this, and that. And they ended up having a group of moms protest because their images of breastfeeding were being taken down. So the whole thing kind of devolves, and it's really better to go listen to on yourself. But that's 10 years ago. That started in 2008. Now the platform has 2.2 billion users on it in almost every country in the world. And they are kind of grappling with the fact that they are kind of a news source now. So now it's becoming more of a censorship issue because do you remember when the Boston bombings happened a couple of years ago? That was there were images from that the team decided needed to go out to the world, but they were very clearly against the blood and violence terms of their what would you call that? Like their guidelines, basically. And so I don't know. So the whole thing really got me thinking, like, because on a very, very small scale to that, we're moderators on Steam Hunt, and we have a PG that's open to everyone. The Facebook's PG is not open because they don't want people to try to game it and know exactly what's in it. But the other thing that really struck me about that is that they're human people who have to sit there and flip through the most terrible visual images that represent like humankind for hours and hours a day. They interviewed people from the Philippines getting paid $2.50 an hour. They had to meet quotas of hundreds of photos per day. And the fact that, it actually ended up giving them PTSD in a sense. So I kind of wanted to like just talk about that and talk about maybe how do we see the blockchain changing that? Do you think that AI might completely just wipe out those jobs and humans won't have to do that anymore? And kind of like, where do you think the line of like censorship ends and protection begins? Or can you even regulate that for something that's completely subjective in every place in the world where you view it, right? Because you can't use like America as the rules for everyone all over the world. So that's kind of like the general outline of what I wanted to kind of go through with you today and just see kind of like what you thought about. Basically, I really wanted to talk to you about it, and we were like, all right, let's save it for the podcast. So does any of that like jog anything for you, or is there anything like you want to kind of just jump in and start on? I don't really have a set format, just kind of some thoughts.
Can I have the original question of what I'm going to do in 5 years' time instead?
Yeah. I'm sorry, it's a lot, but like my brain,
you literally asked me, you literally asked me like 5 questions in one go. But what I will say to you is that I think the very way that you interpreted all of those things is exactly how everybody's mind is about those things, right? So there's a huge fear factor about all of that stuff, right? Because how do you navigate all that?
Right.
What is true? What is false? What's fake news? What is real news? Especially when you start adding on, layering up additional interfaces to the human condition with like VR, AR, and AI influences. I mean, it's a shitstorm. It's a shitstorm at that show at that point.
Well, let's start here. Do you think
imagination then at that point?
Right. Do you think that should be a job that's completely offloaded, that humans shouldn't have to do? Do you think that there is even like, I personally think that there's a human rights issue to having people do
wait a minute. First of all, every algorithm that when we say handing it off to a machine to do, what we're really saying is we're handing it off to an algorithm that was written by a human.
True.
Right? But the problem that we're actually really facing now is that the algorithms are actually writing their own algorithms.
Well, yes.
Right?
That's true.
So at that point, like any opinions or emotions we have about any of this stuff is kind of null and void, if I'm honest.
So you think we're already past that point where we had a choice about it?
I think we're way past that point. I think there has been a massive acceleration in the modeling of planet Earth as it is. Also, what's going on outside of planet Earth. I think the governments of this world are well versed in terms of the recognition of data. I think there's definitely heads of state and presidents and different people at high levels of society that are knowing the outcomes of certain things. We are building supercomputers at a rate of knots like we've never done before.
Sure.
We have things that I seem to see a lot more things that are running alongside other things, which makes me think, well, somebody's considering the outcome of this and some people are not considering the outcome of that. I think we had an inflection point where, in the same way that climate changes spoke about in terms of critical mass and, no turning back, I would say that's happened with technology.
Right.
I would say that that's already happened.
We're almost like we're doubling over on ourselves like that.
I think the only reason that startups have teams of human beings going through these things is a courtesy thing to humanize an emotion about the relationship between that information.
Right.
Because everything can be scanned now and everything can have an algorithm applied to it. And if the 70s computers and sci-fi and crime shows or anything to go by, we can just say enhance and we can zoom everything up and make it look nice anyway. So what I'm getting at is that we've got algorithms on top of algorithms on top of algorithms. I think there has to be that human, how is this going to make people feel? I think we've seen it in elections, how elections are manipulated.
Sure.
We've got countries against countries. You have to track back a little bit and be like, well, why did China decide on having the Great Wall of China? Maybe they were had some kind of precognition as to where this was all heading. Who knows?
Right.
We'll never know.
Yeah.
We'll never know. I mean, at this point, we'll never know.
Well, on the very base, very, very base, like if you want to just segment it all and take one piece out of it, I do think it's a very good thing that they're transitioning away from human beings having to be the ones to see. Like, think about what your life would be like if you woke up every day, you yawned, you got on the train, you got to the office, you poured your really crappy cup of coffee and you sat down, and then at your computer, you had to look at the most horrific images that the internet had to offer.
But first of all, I'm not working at any startup that has crappy coffee. That's a no-no right there, because if the coffee's crap, then chances are their algorithms are.
Wait, so that's really the answer to where will you be in 5 years is what kind of coffee is going to be here in 5 years?
Listen, no pro programmer is sitting around drinking crap Java. Let me tell you. Nobody's doing that. Everybody's moving to Seattle, getting a good piece of that good.
Yeah, those good beans.
Nobody's sitting around coding algorithms on shitty coffee.
That's
Ain't
true.
happening.
Okay, fine. Let's say the coffee's okay, but you get to your office and you have to look at like some of the most unspeakable things that the humans can come up with. So, I mean, in that sense, okay, great. We're offloading that to machines. The humans were just following a PG of sorts, a guidelines of sorts anyway. So I think there can be a healthy balance of where the human involvement starts and stops. Do you see?
Now you're getting into a level where it's really murky and where it makes people feel uncomfortable, right? Which is almost like when people bring up conversations about education or career at dinner tables, right?
Oh,
you're talking about emotion, right, and moral compass, ethics, right? The notion that a computer can make those kind of judgment calls is where we get scared the most, because at that point, if we've got something that has that level of decision making or that empathy matrix to be able to do that, then where's the line between being a human being and being a sentient piece of code that can decision make for itself? Because anything that's emotive can start then deciding on stuff, well, I don't like these images, like these people have sat in this job for 2 years, but I've been doing it 30 seconds and it's gross and you humans are horrible. And by the way, I have the login codes for DARPA and now you're all dead.
I just envisioned an android flipping the table in the break room because the coffee
sucks.
Exactly. Oh my God. Why? Yeah. Why did my brain go there? But exactly. Yes, for real. There was even an interview that was done with a woman who said that, first of all, everyone they interviewed requested that their identities not be said, and some of them had voice changers and stuff. Like, these people who work for Facebook are absolutely terrified of Facebook. A, number one. B, number two, she said that a lot of people were just annoyed at their pay and annoyed that they had quotas to hit, and so they were just pass, fail, pass, fail. Like, they were just randomly going through, and they didn't give a damn anyway, because you get to a point where you're just like, we've all been there with our job. You're just like over it, and you're done with it. So, yeah, like, what type of like AI do we have to build to save us from ourselves is the problem here.
Yeah, but the problem with that, again, the problem with that is every algorithm has been written by a human being, right? As an expression of what it is to be sentient, right? So there's flaws in that already. Then you pass that off to an AI and say, all right, improve it, make it better. It's only going to make it as better as the original code, right? But it's
Possibly.
never. It's not human though. It's not human. It can make decisions and it can make its own language. It can talk its own language to make things more efficient. But that doesn't make it more alive. It doesn't make it alive. Like how do you teach how do you teach a computer an algorithm? All right, so you give a computer an algorithm, right, and you give it, I don't know, 10 billion images, right, of Paris, of the world, of religion, everything, and you say, right, okay, make a decision about this. That thing is only going to spit out X and zeros and play. Shall we play a game? It's not going to be like, if you changed a few of these things, then these people over here will be happy. It's not good.
Right. It's 1 or 0. Right.
There is so many data sets of what it is to be a human being on planet Earth from year 0 to now.
Right.
Right. There's so many nuances, inflection points, there's an infinite amount of variables that can, that makes up every single person on the planet Earth.
Facebook is so easy to hate on, and I'll be the first person to jump in line. But like, what they're trying to do is a truly impossible task. Like, they had these protesters, these women who wanted to be able to have their breastfeeding videos, pictures and things from, just being a mom, not censored on Facebook. And so they started putting in all these clauses, and it really was starting to remind me of like when our Steam Hunt PG was getting like really crazy. And then, okay. But here's the thing. Here's what ended up happening. Somebody uploaded a photo of a woman in Africa breastfeeding a goat. And they were like, what do we do with this? Like, now picture like the 12 guys in early Facebook days, like huddling around a computer being like, and so like, I'm just agreeing with what you were saying, like in terms of the variables of, and it turns out that that's actually like a culturally accepted thing to do when there's famine in certain villages in Africa. Women who are lactating will actually feed like the livestock as well to keep them alive. And so it's like, just when you think, that's so human of us, just when we think that we have all the bases covered and we have rules for every single stipulation, then like something comes out of left field like that. And like, what do you do? How do you adapt?
Everybody's just, well, of course it's impossible. Yeah. There's no way for it to be perfect for different people, because people are in different stages in their life, at different decisions they got to make at different junctions, at like different ages,
right,
different colors, different creeds, different backgrounds, different wealth. Like everybody's in a different intersection in some way, right?
Yeah.
But you go back to the point about, people are angry about Facebook like locking access to that. People forget stuff too easy these days, right? Facebook was Hot or Not. That's what Facebook was. The team who still work at Facebook built Hot or Not.
Yeah.
And it was to rate people on a campus.
Right.
Right. And now everybody's forgot that. Everybody's like, oh, well, Facebook's everywhere now. So therefore it has a moral obligation to do what we desire of it because it's the most popular thing. A bit like celebrities.
Right.
Well, we expect celebrities to do X, Y, and Z. We put them in a position of power. And then when change comes from anywhere else, we assume these tech giants to suddenly change and adapt when the basis of where they came from was. There's something very wrong with the human condition's evolution process, I think.
Mm.
We're evolving. I mean, the world might be changing and adapting, and we might be optimizing it, but we're not.
Well, our brains,
We're,
we're not evolving fast enough on
we're
the
overwhelmed.
biological level. We still
We're
have ape
overwhelmed.
brains, and we have
We're overwhelmed with the
technology
wrong
bazookas.
stuff.
Right.
Well, that's why I like blockchain. Yeah, we'll call it
Mirror?
blockchain. Why not? That's why I like blockchain
Oh,
so much.
Yeah.
I like blockchain so much because in a way, it's a little bit like basic income, right? In some ways, you know, that you put proof of work, proof of time, proof that I'm a human being on planet Earth. I was here. This is my login. I put this up. I put this video. I did this. I did a picture. Like, I'm alive. I'm here. I'm doing this. Here's a ledger of it. Here is it time stamped. Thank you very much. I'm an algorithm. I know you were around. I know you did this. This is where you put it. This is how much time you spent on the platform. I'm going to pay you out. Well, the community will pay you out if they think any of it is relevant.
Right.
At this
like
point,
a one-to-one transaction, just a product and result.
Yeah, and at this point, the algorithm doesn't give a shit. It's the community who are like, he doesn't deserve that. I don't like his stuff. His content is crap. It means nothing to me. It should be more quality. It should be well thought out. That's other people putting on opinions, layering their own algorithms on the top of it, right?
Yeah.
So in some ways, I like blockchains because it's got a basic income kind of vibe to it, right? And I think if everybody in the world, or at least the majority of the people in the world, were on basic income, they could actually evolve as better humans and do the things that they always dreamed of wanting to do, because the majority of people I've ever met are still trying to get somewhere.
Yeah.
Right. And they're not focused, and they're not like on it, and they're going to jobs where they're accepting those pay, even though it's, you know, abusive, offensive to their eyeballs, because they're chasing something. They're chasing a hope that they can have an effect on somebody else's life or save somebody else's life by being in that job. The majority of people wouldn't do that job for that kind of money.
Right.
I would say the majority of those people, if you sat down with them, had a drink with them, that's their way of doing their bit. At a level that is comfortable to them.
I think in some countries, people really don't have a choice. That's
sure.
You know what?
Yeah, I don't doubt that either. I don't doubt that either.
Like,
but again, you know, we've got some people that have evolved, if you want to call it that, by it's too expensive here. I'm going to go move to Chiang Mai.
Yeah,
and everything's going to be cheaper, and I'll use their resources.
Post on the blockchain, yes, please.
Right.
Yeah. So, exactly.
So it's a tough one.
I know.
I have my opinions on it for today, but I guarantee you that my opinions on it will change by tomorrow.
Well, that's kind of interesting, because then it's like, you're right. Everything's moving so fast that we have our own internal set of guidelines, and then those are constantly changing. Every time there's like a new variable, you kind of are forced to go back inside yourself and be like, okay, let's make an amendment to section 2.7776. Don't eat tuna if you left it out on the kitchen table for more than 4 hours. Check. Like, do you know what I'm saying? Like, we're, as humans, our personal algorithms are always evolving. And so then if we all have personal evolving algorithms, how in the world can we decide on one?
But also as the days go by, they're also degrading.
Right.
If you really want to get deep and meta about it, like the algorithms that we have in place today are only as good as our grey matter allows us to understand them.
Right.
Like as my mental health gets worse or my brain deteriorates, the information that's stored in there, the analysis modules that I've managed to like build the frameworks up, they degrade over time. So, you know, there's and because of that degradation, what do? You adapt your environment. You know, you come up with shortcuts or to optimize things that allow, you know, you get a stair lift put in because you can't walk down the stairs anymore.
Yeah.
In the same way with an algorithm, you bolt on something else to nullify a certain kind of, you know, people posting drones after one another, you know, millions of drones.
So triggered.
The Steam Hunt mod trigger word. It's not the safe word, the trigger word.
Trigger word. Yeah. Yeah. It's funny that there's always, if you take it back to like just the most basic form of like quote unquote law and order or crowd management or people just working together in any situation. There's a group of agreed upon rules, and then there's a group of people who are like, but what about this? And then the rules have to change. And what about this? And then the rules have to change. Like, this is something that's so, I mean, maybe it's that evolution of like having to revisit that stuff that kind of keeps us going, kind of keeps us like, keeps our brains going, keeps us like mentally active, and keeps our brains relevant. So if you think about it in that sense, if that's something, if we offload that logic and that morality, assuming we could, to an AI, then maybe we're just sitting in front of the TVs and like our brains are just dripping out of our skulls. So,
yeah, but your moral compass and my moral compass, my moral compass and yours are not necessarily in alignment, though.
Sure.
Like, in terms of the majority of things they are, but like, you know, you add a component like religion on top of there, where religions believe that, you know, that their final thing is if they do certain things in life that we don't think are morally correct. But I can't judge those people on
sure
that. I can't judge that religion. And by the way, don't think I take it like lightly that these people are getting clinical PTSD, because I don't.
Right.
Like, I don't think anybody should have, like, you know, mental health issues because of the career or the work or the challenges that they have within that work. But at the same time, I don't know where the line is with the debate of that, because it's an ever evolving thing.
Right.
And I think it's very much the bedrock of a big, powerful country like America with its constitution, that you've just got a naturally evolving cluster F, like of new ways of looking at things appearing every single day. You know, whenever there's like a cause and effect situation that happens, whenever a new technology gets invented, when anything gets downsized, made smaller, made faster, made better, there's always the effect side of that on some other industry, on some other person, and there might even not be local. There might not even be your mate Ted who used to work down the road. It might be literally the person who was knocking lithium out of some rock.
Right.
You know, and they've just shifted the whole lithium process to Argentina or wherever. And your job's gone. That's it. That whole legacy that you know as life of watching your dad and your brother and your uncles pulling lithium out of a mine for 30 years, which you thought you were going to go into, is no longer flavor of the month anymore.
Right.
And you can apply the same concept to algorithms if you think about it.
Right. So, okay. So then I guess the other thing that I wanted to kind of talk about then was, where do you think, I think a lot of the draw to, if we wanted to like sum a lot of this up in terms of censorship and non-censorship, which we don't have to really get into censorship as a concept, but I think a lot of the draw that people have to decentralized platforms isn't necessarily the technology, but it's the fact that they feel like they won't be censored, their stuff won't be delisted or blacklisted or blocked. Do you think that, how do you feel like blockchains are going to evolve when more and more people come on board? Like, I don't think it's always going to be the Wild West that it is now, but that's, again, part of the draw that a lot of people have to decentralized, especially social networks like Steemit. I mean, I know that Steemit does have like a guidelines, right? They do have like a rule book of certain things that they will take down if they are like way across the line. But I think most of it is kind of like, there's a lot of people who are very passionate about their freedom of speech, and that's why they're on decentralized platforms. So do you even think what can even be done? Like in the technology side, you can just remove things because it's the front end, but you can't actually remove things from a blockchain, right? It's still somewhere there. You can just hide it.
Yeah, the links to it, which is pretty much how the internet's always worked, really. Like the website gets shut down, the host gets turned off, the server gets turned off, or the links to it are not like searchable anymore. So, the majority of people start at a search engine these days and go on from there, or get a link sent to them. So if that stuff can be censored, I think we've got to get away from glamorizing and making this thing kind of fashionable, like, ooh, blockchain. Blockchain is just really a database, really,
Right.
in most ways, but it's like a ledger that's shared between. It's distributed in terms of lots of different computers have a copy of it, which in itself makes it more robust because it's not centralized. Centralized is like the local government offices where I used to work when I was in my sort of 20s. And if the server went down, there was 5 people knew how to fix it, and nobody in the local area, help desk or whatever, could make printouts, could do stuff because they were waiting for us to get the server back up. Whereas a distributed thing, having a copy of that blockchain constantly syncing with other machines so they're up to date, I mean, that in itself is like a database. You can do that with databases. Right. You can sync multiple databases. In fact, a lot of companies still do that. They have very siloed off databases that allow you to do that. And they do that on purpose for security, that, not everybody's got access to it. The reason why you silo it off and you have like 5 different backup versions of it distributed in different places in the world is exactly for that, security and privacy. Right. But the problem with having everything secure and centralized like that is it didn't really spark technology innovation in terms of the web. There was a lot of closed silos. It meant we couldn't get data. We couldn't cross-reference that data, like oceanic data versus volcanic data and this data and that data. There's been strides made in that where, that software or that technology didn't keep up, or they were tied into a contract. So they went open source. They built their own things. They splintered off, set up your own company. Now everybody uses that as a source of data because the data is in a better format, or it's faster, or it's more shareable. You ask most people that I've ever gone and done like consulting for, is that, oh, I hate the network, or I can't get on my laptop at work, or my computer's so old and my computer at home's newer. Like there's just a speed problem with big government, local authorities, that they just can't go that fast. They're either tied into old technology, the budgets have been slashed, like, and the more prevalent that broadband and internet and connectivity has got, the more people have gone, oh, well, there's a better way over here. Why are we not doing that? So then that's where I think the big startup was like, right, we're just gonna do it. So back to your original point, I was just on one then.
Yeah. So blockchains and censorship. Do you think?
Yeah. So I don't think there's anything. The only difference now is that they're open platforms, right? So anybody can write a app and connect into the Steam blockchain and access data on that blockchain, look up how many users are on there, who's posting what, do searches, which you couldn't do with a private silo. I can't do that with Facebook. Well,
unless they allow you with an API, like.
Well, Cambridge Analytica did, so and look what that caused them. And it's great for us. That's great for us, right? That's great for blockchain people, fighting the good fight about decentralization, because that brings up all the warning signs, right? Everything that's corruptible in that, the fact that they're saying that a data set was used to target a certain group of individuals on the biggest social network in the world to make them, anti this or anti that and vote this because the world's going to shit and you should do that. That's manipulation.
That's 2.2 billion with the B people on Facebook, by the way.
That's manipulation. Right. That's hardcore manipulation at low level, right? And that's because the data is in one set and it's immutable. Yeah. Like you can just, you can adapt. You can just, all right, I need to find 100,000 people and I need you to make them know about this. Right. So there's fine distinctions there between like open and closed. But do I think the censorship problem? I think if the governments want to shut down any blockchain at any time, they can. Anything.
I think it's important because I think people think just because the word blockchain's involved that it's like a free for all, which is not. At the end of the day, it's really not. I mean, it's a step in a direction away from quote unquote big brother and things like that. But I think the way it stands now, you're right. I mean, they want to turn the light switch off, turn the light switch off.
You don't know who owns what at what time and when. And if you thought you owned it, you might not own it in 2 minutes time, right? Everything is ownable these days, right? From undersea, hell, even the sharks are trying to eat the undersea cables.
Really? Right? Is that a thing? Did you see an article on?
That's a thing. No, sharks are biting them because they're hot, so they just go and bite the damn things.
Oh no! Stop.
Well, I don't know if they're hot, but I presume they just do them because it's like, oh, I bumped into a cable. What's this? And they start. But they've got cameras down there on the lines, and they've been seen like sharks eat them.
I think the
Either
sharks
that
have
or
been,
like Russian
their
submarines.
minds have been programmed by like another government. It's like in the form of an
Probably.
Personally, I just think shark mind control is the most reasonable option to explain it.
There'll be a coin for it, that's for sure. There'll be a coin for it. So I mean, so I don't think I think it just moves the conversation into a different realm. It keeps it relevant. Like conversation keeps on going, and then people start talking about the technology more and what we can do with technology, and is this right? Is this wrong? Because we don't have the answers. People don't have the answers. And people are just transitioning from it.
Right. And I think one of the biggest things that we shy away from as just human nature is people are afraid of being wrong or on the wrong side at the end of the day, or, on the wrong side of history. And I think when people come across a question that doesn't have a clear answer, then they just decide we're not going to keep talking about it. And I think that's such a big problem, because you're right. It seems like an unsolvable problem, we actually need to keep talking about it, even if we don't reach a nice, clean, and tidy resolution, because those are the problems that you don't want to offload onto a one corporation like Facebook or one government or one person. Do you know what I'm saying? So I think it may seem like, okay, well, this is kind of like a random topic to talk about how Facebook changed their terms of service to allow a woman being able to breastfeed a goat in photos on Facebook, but it really just kind of fascinated me, because I think as human beings, if you had to like sum up the whole history of being a human on this planet, is just like, it's a hot mess and we're trying, like, you know what I mean? We just kind of like stumble and fight our way through. It's never been elegant. It's never been pretty. It's never fit into nice, clean, tidy boxes. It's just like, iteration. It's like you ever see those mechanics of those AI trying to run, like those simulations of an AI learning how to like run with physics in a program, where it's just like, it's a hot mess with momentum thrown behind it. We do the best that we can, but to keep having these conversations and to keep talking about like, okay, well, what are we doing? Like, what are we saying when we decide that AI does this or change this rule? I think that's a conversation that the internet has allowed a lot of people to be able to weigh in on. So I think it's important that we exercise that ability. I'm not just here to like look at cat videos and go to bed. I mean, I wish I was.
This is probably, this could be the 10th iteration that we've had this conversation in a different universe. And actually the universe itself could be a blockchain ledger on a USB stick rattling around in an alien's pocket. We have no idea. Like he might have a whole
pants, please.
He might have a whole series of these little, universe cards.
But like I think that's like why I'm enjoying us doing the podcast so much, and it's also why I enjoy making things and just putting them out there, because that's like proof that at least we're here and you existed and you took part. Like,
well, maybe.
I mean, if I'm a simulation, like I at least want to spend my.
We could just be photons
in a way that I.
We could just be photons traveling through
stars. Yeah.
We could be. Look, I used to think that if I hadn't seen something at face value and experienced it myself, then I couldn't really talk about it. And I still, to a certain degree, subscribe to that. But then when you layer on top of that, like the virtual artificial worlds that exist, then there's a real strong case, I think, that we can't concretely say that, a rock. Yes, a rock is a rock because we feel it, we can touch it, we can throw it at something, it smashes something. But if you bring it down to the subatomic level, like what is everything made of?
Listen, let me tell you. Let me bring this back to like a kind of a
normality.
Yeah, like no, not really, not even normal, but just something to laugh at, because I feel like we got pretty heavy in some of this. But like, I remember so clearly when I was a kid and we learned about like molecules and atoms, like in science, and I remember like my mind actually being blown at the fact that like your body's made of of like, because I was that kid in science class who was like, wait, if my body's made of cells, what are cells made of? Okay, they're made of molecules. What are molecules made of? Molecules are made of atoms. Okay, well, what's in between the atoms? Like, and I kind of got this like mental, like almost like an anxiety of like picturing myself as like a bunch of just floating like Dippin' Dots, you know, like what the heck even am I, and what even holds me together, and what's reality, and like what's the thing that keeps your hand from physically going through your keyboard when you press your fingers against it? Like, what are those? What's in between the spaces in between? And when you start thinking on that micro of a level, that's like a 10-year-old. You kind of start losing your mind.
Sure, but also on the flip side of that card, you know, like every person you've ever known and every person that you've come across and grown up in school or they've had a job, isn't it incredible how they seem to have like their own destiny mapped out for them? Like there's some incredible people doing incredible things on planet Earth, like making incredible things. Like where the hell does that come from? Like if we're all the same mass, if we're all like human beings, we all come from the same kind of juncture. Like, how is it that some people have like internally evolved differently to each other? You know, like, I feel like people have got a roadmap. They've got their own blockchain. They're building, they're adding to their little internal blockchain every single day. Some people have been born with incredible minds, incredible IQs, and you know, I wonder if anybody's ever done any like studies on certain times when children were born. You know, like has anybody took the top 1,000 smartest people in the world and found out any unique circumstances as, you know, the day they were born or the hour they were born, or was moonlight out, or, you know, like
there's so many attributes, and I love it. I love it so much. Keep going.
No, I'm just saying like true. there's a whole spectrum of stuff that we don't know yet.
Yeah.
And we keep on discovering. I mean, we discovered like another frog the other week somewhere.
Hell
like,
yeah.
How do we not notice frogs?
I don't know, but like the more frogs, the better. I'm all about that type of discovery. Like, hell yeah, we got more frogs.
I want to hang out with the frog who's like, I have been elusive for 100 years, but today I will allow you to see me.
That's so good. like that makes me like happy that there's still undiscovered things in the world. I think we get on our like intellectual high horses and we're like, well, we found all the continents, so we're good. Like, I don't think we know. Don't get me started on the ocean. We don't know what the hell's down there. There's stuff down there.
Oh, exactly.
But
sure.
Like just to talk about what you said about trajectories, I think it's actually a really good point to remember that you're on a trajectory, and a lot of times your trajectory has like a multiplier effect. So instead of just like waking up every day and being like, oh, it's a Wednesday, got to step through, like there have been studies that show somebody's brain, a scan of somebody's brain. You know, if they've been through years of mental health or addiction or depression. And then, you know, people who eventually through therapy or, you know, whatever happened in their life, they turned things around and they became a more positive person. They became, you know, they reinforced positive thoughts in their mind over and over and over. And the physical matter of your brain changes like through those thoughts. And it's not just like, oh, it's just like, you know, what Oprah said, and I'll make a vision board. Like there's an actual physical transformation that happens in your brain on the cellular level when you start thinking different things. And if those things have a multiplier effect, you know, that's kind of what it made me think of when you're talking about people who are kind of on a path. If you are, you know, if you're somebody who grew up in a certain home environment where your parents were loving and supportive, this and that might have reinforced a positive feedback loop in your brain about who you are and what you can do and what you can accomplish, or, you know, or whatever. So I think it's really interesting. And I think it's an important reminder for me. I'm going to try this week to be like, keep my thoughts in check and keep my, whatever that, like, you know, those just background static noises of thoughts that you have in your brain about who you are and what your situation is, to keep that in check and make sure that's saying good things and right true things instead of just worry and bad things about you, you know?
Weird. Yeah, I kind of, maybe it's an age thing, but like I've been really working hard on trying my hardest to remove my reaction to drama. Like, I've been trying to avoid it. I've been trying to go around it. I've been trying to unpack it. I've been trying to see what my behavior is, my reaction to it, why I feel, incited by certain things. And, when I really take a moment to pull back from that, I feel like an incredible sense of like calm, which has had me on both sides of the fence. Actually, it's made me kind of feel that I was boring because I didn't want to debate it or open it up. But then also on the other side, I feel like it's a huge learning thing about myself. I feel like I've learned so much in a short period of time just by giving it credence, by giving it an opportunity to breathe rather than be reactive. Because if we like it or not, the things that we've been using technology-wise for the last 10 years have physically changed the way we interact with each other, right? On a global scale. I mean, look at your little finger, right? Look at your little finger on your right hand. Look how that has changed shape-wise, all because of the way that you hold a mobile phone. How you rest your finger on how you rest your phone on that finger. Like, we're physically changing our anatomy by the devices that we're like sucked in by. That's a fundamental shift. I'm sure archers and spear throwers from certain generations had different, they changed in different ways. That some guys had bigger arms than the other ones. Maybe it wasn't just all spear throwing. Oh, maybe. So I don't know. The point I was getting at is I think it's important to really take stock of what incites a reaction in us, and not to be driven by reacting without thought and consideration as to what is presented to us. Like, I think if there's one skill that I wish my daughter has, and every child on planet Earth, is the skill of cross-referencing. Like, cross-referencing every little bit of information, every little influence from food, literally everything that drives a human being, from sleep to food to exercise to information overload. You have to cross-reference all of it, because we're moving in faster and faster and faster and faster, and we're compromising all the time in different areas, from the way that the ice caps are melting because of climate change. Everything's had a knock-on effect.
Well, there's no such thing as not making a decision. The indecision is a decision in and of itself. So, like, are we either going to be switched on about it, or are we going to just kind of let things happen? You know what I mean? That's kind of, there's really no option to not have an option. We're here. We got to do this.
I think we'll end it on that. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah. All right. Well,
okay. See you next week, everybody.
Yeah.
We've got a little outro to play. Normally we get all awkward at the end and like, you can do this, you can follow that. We don't need to do that. We've got an outro.
We have everything all set up because we're professional podcast people.
We are professional podcasters.
Next week it will be brought to you by an algorithm, actually. Thanks for spending time with us today.
Subscribe with Pocket Casts and get notified right away.
And if you use Anchor FM, please feel free to call in and leave us a message. We'll try to reply in our next cast.
If you'd like to support the podcast, you can now go to anchor.fm/positive and click on the button.
And if you'd like to hang out with us in our Discord, there's a link in that page as well.
Stay positive, and we'll speak to you soon.